With so many things in the world to learn and master, how can anyone ever become an icon, a genius, or a maverick? I think most of us here probably relate more to the demon cat in Adventure Time, where we have like an approximate knowledge of many things. Luckily, knowledge in one topic can actually help you master another topic, or at least help you get a head start. So my name is Liz Fiacco, and I graduated here, Chapman University, last year with a BFA in Digital Arts and Game Development. After graduation, I founded a company called Fallstreak Studio with the partners that I worked with on developing a game called Axel. So we raised $20,000 through donations on Kickstarter, but we could not have done that without a lot of hard work and a huge transition. You see, I had been studying animation and film for 4 years. I was emphasizing in storyboarding, and then suddenly I found myself surrounded by all of these businessmen and businesswomen, and I was a little bit out of my water. Luckily, I think everyone here has experienced some time where you've learned something outside of the classroom, and it's become useful somewhere unexpected. For instance, when you're a kid and you're roasting marshmallows, you kind of get the idea that you can get the fire going by blowing on it. And you get the idea that you can put a fire out by smothering it with water or sand. Well, that's great for roasting marshmallows, but then when you get to high school chemistry and you're studying combustion reactions, all of a sudden you understand why oxygen is needed for fires. You have this innate knowledge of it. But you weren't thinking about chemistry back when you were roasting marshmallows. Unless, of course, you had really nerdy parents who told you. So I used this ability, these transferable skills after I graduated, to sort of retrofit my film animation education into the entrepreneurial world. One of the first things that just kind of boggled my mind about the business world is everyone kept asking me, who's your market? And my knee-jerk reaction was to just say, anyone, please, someone, please buy my product, please, anyone. But that is not what they wanted to hear. So it was when we were developing our Kickstarter video, I realized that when business people asked me what our market was, that's when film people were asking us who your audience is. And that painted a really clear picture for me. And from there, I can make better choices about how to build, market, and monetize our game. So, transferable skills, incredibly useful, but kind of unpredictable. You don't really know when a skill you learn in one place is going to come in handy somewhere else. Plus, everyone comes from different backgrounds and experiences, so they're hard to share. If you tell someone about a transferable skill, they didn't really experience the transferable skill. But it's such a powerful learning tool, there's got to be a way to make it part of a day-to-day solution. And that is where I think video games can really shine. See, games are actually the perfect medium to hone transferable skills. Because games, like, most of the time when you think of a skill that you learn in a video game, you're thinking kind of like knowing what ability that you need to be super effective against a certain Pokemon, which isn't terribly useful day to day. But if you think about something like Rock Band, if you learn how to drum on Rock Band, eventually you're going to learn how to do real syncopated rhythms, and you're going to learn some common drum techniques, which is pretty sweet. And the power of these games comes from their rapid teach and test cycles. A player learns something new and then immediately has to put it into practice, and they get tested on it again and again and again. One of the greatest games, Portal, is actually about 70% tutorial. So it's not that when they teach you it's dry. Clearly, teaching through a video game is incredibly compelling. Additionally, through a game, you can learn from failure. I probably died maybe hundreds of times trying to beat Donkey Kong Country Returns. If I failed hundreds of tests in school, I would have a very bad time. But luckily, with video games, you can learn from failure. Additionally, with technology today, video games can actually simulate extremely complex systems, and they're interactive, which means that students or players can change stuff about these systems and then see the repercussions of their actions in the world. So all of this power is in video games, but you can't get a transferable skill from it unless the mechanics actually reflect real skills and real content. Like with Risk, I love playing Risk and I'm very competitive at Risk. So in order to be good at Risk, I need to really understand the map, know where all the countries are, know what borders what, and this knowledge to be competitive at Risk helped me out when I was studying world geography. Or a more poignant example is the game Fold It. Fold It is a game about folding proteins up, stuff that scientists are actually working on. But it's a puzzle game, and it's a lot of fun, and people actually managed to fold the protein within a couple weeks of the game's launch that scientists had been stumped on for years. So that's pretty cool. That's a lot of power. Also, games allow you to discover stuff for yourself through the mechanics. You can find strategies and techniques and really understand why that's important. For instance, with Risk again, I feel like I have firsthand experience on why Napoleon had such a hard time moving his armies east through Russia. Like that's impossible. So yes, transferable skills are incredibly important, but historically, they've been only used out of accident or necessity or just resourcefulness. And if we're mindful of them, we can actually make them a lot more powerful. We can start inserting them into the games that we make or other media. So I encourage teachers to take a second look at games as more than just a distraction and try to find those real-world ideas and concepts and content from them in order to actually bring that content into the classroom. Because these games aren't necessarily educational. Like Risk, you don't think of as an educational game, and Fold It is really more of a puzzle game. But yet, there's really valuable experience in them. So by actively seeking connections, you can actually use transferable skills to your benefit. Because if we all have a bunch of disjointed experiences, then you end up like that demon cat from Adventure Time. You have an approximate knowledge of many different things. But using transferable skills, that can be the difference between being knowledgeable and being a genius. So I urge everyone to go out and try to create experiences that can be transferable for yourself and also for others. And to realize that we have the opportunity now to make widespread transferable experiences through video games, and therefore the opportunity to make an entire generation of icons, geniuses, and mavericks. Thank you.